G'day, I'm Dan. Welcome to Dog Talk. I'm Dan Camilleri.
And I'm Laura McKillop. We'd like to start by thanking Enduro, High Energy Food for Working Dogs with Real Kangaroo Meat, for their ongoing support in bringing you our fortnightly Q&A. We're both here tonight.
Tonight we're fortunate enough to be speaking with Joe Gerritsen from Warramurra Working Dogs.
Hey Joe, how you going?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me on.
It feels like we haven't been having. Laura and I have hardly yarned in 2 weeks, and it feels like it's been ages since we've done this.
Yeah, it does. We're all over the place.
We're all over the shop, mate. How's your day?
Yeah, great day. Just drive cattle for a bloke in contracting role I'm in, and and then educating and re-educating a few weaners that had been handled but not for a while. So yeah, great times when you get to go and work a few dogs and throw a few young ones out when you get a few weaners quiet.
Do you find like our dogs, like when we've worked with our dogs and then we've kind of let a few things slip or haven't had time, then we get back into it. It doesn't take long to get them back on track again. Just a couple of reminders and explain, hey, these are the boundaries again. Do you find the same cattle?
Yeah. If they've been done right in the first place or close to right, it doesn't take long to get them right back there real quick. Like we had a couple of hundred today, and within sort of half an hour, I had them blocking up again and walking properly, and then within a couple 3 hours, we had them pulling behind us side by side and just really being good cattle again, and back into the yards and a flow through the yards and got them flowing a bit better, and put them back out. And I'll go and it's a job I go and do a fair bit of for this bloke and this person, and I'll go and revisit those ones in another week or so. So yeah.
And what's done right in your terms?
I teach him to block without turning around. Like, so when a dog comes in front of your mob, in front of your weaners, they just pull up and stand, and they make the decision to move off, not your dog having to force the decision, because we want our cows to think about what they're doing and move off under their own steam rather than a dog hanging off the ear making it happen. It's a lot when they just move off.
Yeah.
Making decisions for themselves.
Yep. Yeah, 100%.
Sorry, I'm just looking across the table, mate, there, because I was going to ask the next thing was Warramurra, right? It was?
Yeah.
Not something you hear every day, mate. What's that mean?
Well, it's my parents' property back down in South Australia is called Kurramurra, which is Carl and Margaret put together, and that's my parents' name. So they wouldn't let me use the actual property name, and everybody around us, all their properties start with a W. So I just went, we'll just call it Warramurra. And at that stage, my brother and I also had a business venture, our own property, so we named it Warramurra, and and that's the name just stuck. And I'd already called my dogs that, and then it just stuck, and it's
That was a piss take. It's going.
Yeah, it came from the weirdest place, but anyway, it's been my prefix for quite a number of years, I suppose. I think 24, 25 years. So yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So you've been down, obviously grew up in South Australia. Now you're up in Queensland border. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your backstory and where you've been, what you've done?
Yeah, I've only got to work Tasmania, and I've worked the whole country, and I've only got to manage in Tasmania and Northern Territory, and I've managed properties right across Australia. I grew up in South Australia, down in the southeast, in Narracourt, and and I had a burn to go and work everywhere else and see a lot of things, and a lot of that was I wanted to work dogs in the journey, so I sort of left. I've become a wool classer, and that took me all around Australia back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And that just married up well with working my dogs. But yeah, just the contract work took me everywhere for a long time, and I wanted to work big mobs of sheep. And when you want to work big mobs of sheep, you're heading into the Riverina or northern South Australia, and then I wanted to work big mobs of cattle, and that took me up into the Gulf country. In Queensland a fair bit, and educated weaners in NT and the Kimberley for some people over that way, and and that was in the early days before before I started settling down and and met my wife. But that's where we grew up down south. But sort of haven't been there for a fair while now. Yeah.
And home at the moment?
Home at the moment. A little property called Burrawita that a friend owns, and it's a nice little block, and Mungandai is a nice little place. It's we can see the Queensland border from where we are. So not far out of Queensland, but we're in New South Wales, and New South Wales is a good state too. So.
Who'd you back at Origin time?
Oh, I've backed the Maroons. Yeah, every time, have for about 20 years. So, and I'm a Broncos fan. So, anyway, crying.
It normally goes in my favour anyway.
Shouldn't ask that one then.
Yeah.
So, where did that passion for working dogs come from? Like you mentioned, like ever since you were young, like that's what you want to do. Like where'd that come from?
Oh, look, always loved dogs. Always loved dogs, and a lot that's unknown is my first ever working dog when I got a nag mum and dad for a dog when I was a little kid, and I got a Kelpie when I was 5. And it was actually a Nancy Withers Pomander Kelpie, and it was a great dog. Like she was really good. No idea what I was doing. Only a kid, but I spent so much time just wanting to work stock with it. And then when she got a bit older, we had to put her down because she started having problems in her hips and a few little problems. And then when I was 12, a friend at school gave me a border collie, a little bitch, because Dad told me I wasn't allowed to have another Kelpie. I had to get a border collie, and which was all right as a dog. I just loved working dogs, and look, she made the best pet you could ever imagine. She lived till 18. She never really worked. She wasn't a great dog, but I took her when I had her to a person called Bing Dinning, and Bing Dinning was he was an amazing dog trainer. Like he would win 3 sheep trials and work dogs all day on stock and just had great dogs. And he actually said to me, he goes, "I'll get you a proper working dog." And he got me a dog called Wongula Mick, which at the time was didn't have any thought about pedigrees or anything, and just he was just a great working dog. And then Bing actually taught me how to break him in. Between Bing and Brian Growden, they were pretty big influence at the time in getting into dogs. And from then on, it was downhill from there. Like once I got the first one under the belt, they just accumulated. So, which is, I don't know. It went from 1 to, by the time I was 15, I had about 10. So, which was help from Brian Growden and Bing Dinning. Like they had plenty around them. And, but it was a good way to cut my teeth to get into dogs. And that, to be honest, that passion never died. It's wavered a little bit. It's probably stronger nowadays than it's been in a long time, and probably to do with the crew of dogs that go around me too, and the pups coming through. Got some great pups.
And then you mentioned like that you had this desire to like work large mobs of sheep. How did that then transpire to want to work so many cattle?
Oh. Yeah, look, that came about in my first job to transfer from sheep to cattle. So when I was 16, I actually left school and I got a job at Tintinara, just up the road and sort of thing. And we were working heaps of cattle there. But all the cattle there, when we did any cattle work, it was all done with healers and healer crosses, and it was all just smash and crash cattle. There was nothing polite about it. And everybody told me, oh, you should put your collies out just as a laugh. And one day I did put them out in the paddock on a mob of cows, and all of a sudden these collies just they were pulling up cows that were bouncing over the top of these heelers, and they were just pulling them up and just calmly doing it by giving room and letting the cows make a decision to walk off. It wasn't real neat and tidy, not like we can get them now, but there was, there's something in this, and I want to do more of it. And then it just went from there. Yeah. But sorry.
No, I was gonna say that's cool, but because you mentioned like how much of the country you've worked, and then you mentioned the golf. Like, how much pushback did you have working cattle with your dogs, or have you experienced that?
Yeah, even to this day, you do get it where people just we don't use dogs on cattle, and yeah, back late 90s, early 2000s, like there weren't many places that would let you use a dog anyway. You really had to push pretty hard to let them out, and actually you had to show people that you could do it, and how nice you could do it with their stock without knocking them about and stirring them up. It is a lot easier today. Like, it's pretty accepted now. But early days, it was pretty hard.
Why do you think that's changed?
Oh, look, you got to take your hat off to Neil McDonald. He has really helped that narrative go down the right road. Like, he's probably the biggest promoter of low stress stock handling, and just handling stock correctly more than anything.
Yeah,
absolutely. Mate, you've mentioned, like, we've spoken a bit about like younger, your desire for stock and dogs. Have you ever considered doing anything else?
No, not really, because you couldn't take a dog with you. I've I've thought about maybe getting out of training like stock dogs and go and train something like a police dog, because those Belgian Malinois, they excite me. Just how excited they are, and they're full of life, but also the aggression they can bring too. So
they're babies. Come down here and have a play anytime, mate. They're it's amazing. Like, a lot of people have that perception of them. So I was recently at the Australian Utility Trial at Nyngan, and I took my Malinois with me, and like I had her tethered out with my Kelpies and Collies while I was judging, and people would be like, "Whoa!" And then when I wasn't judging, I'd just unclip her and let her run around, and she's just like a big cat. Like, she's just all over people, and then people are like, "This dog would bite me." Yeah, all right, get a bite sleeve, and then the dog just to flick, and then as soon as I take the sleeve off to flick back, I think that helped break down a little of that stigma. Like, people are like, just wow, like it's just a job for them, right? It's no different to your cattle or people's hunting dogs, like going nuts when they're in drive, and then they're around your family and they're sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, absolutely. It's all how you handle dogs, isn't it? Like, if you set the good foundation to start with, you can get dogs to do nearly anything, and they're just amazing what you can get them to do. They'll achieve anything you want, as long as you set them up for success to start with. They're great. I love it.
Wait, speaking of that, like, how do you select your pup, and then how do you work on your foundations?
Oh, I always like to pick a pup that likes me, so I like it back. That's probably the number one thing. But lately, with the way we've been breeding here, it's you just about shut your eyes and just put your hand in and you call it lucky dip. They're all going to be the same. But in our last batch of pups, I actually had this pup Rudy I got. He's what's he now? He's 11 weeks old, and at 4 weeks when he started moving around the kennel, he was the first to come up and started touching you. So you weren't putting your hand out to pat him; he was coming to you. And then by the time he was 5 weeks, he knew my voice, and like, we've got 2 kids, and they could be playing with the pups, and he'd walk out and, Rudy, come here, Rudy, and he would just leave everybody and come to you. And you just can't walk away from a dog like that. You got to take him. But then I've got another one there. He's a couple of weeks younger, buck. And our mate who bred him, he just showed me a few photos, and I just went, yeah, I like the look of that one. That one will do. So yeah, no real set thing in stone, but usually one you like, and hopefully it likes you. And if you set that foundation down right, you'd be right.
Absolutely. It's like a little storm out there. When your mum come out when they were pups, she just walked up your mum's jeans when we were laying on the floor and fell asleep.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I did now. I couldn't not pick her as the pup to keep. So it's just like, yeah, she just picked us, I suppose, which I've kind of never really had a pup like that. Like, yeah, friendly, but this one just wouldn't leave you alone.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta love those pups, and then I suppose we do a bit when we breed the pup too. Like I usually cart them down the sheep yards when they're about 5 or 6 weeks old, which gets a few eyebrows lifted. But we put them out, and a lot of what we've bred, especially over the last 15 years, you put them on the ground, and over half the pups will already start using their instinct. They'll be working. They'll already be heading to the head if they can get there fast enough and want to grip. So yeah, you sort of, when you do that, you sort of look across and you might have 6 pups and you got 3 already doing it. You go, right, it's one of those 3. But yeah, that's sort of been chasing that sort of pup for 31 years, I suppose, since I started in dogs. So just, yeah, I love that early starting pup that show you what it's going to have when it grows out. Yeah, it's sort of become a bit of a hallmark of our dogs too.
You've mentioned obviously that you work a lot with cattle now. Obviously, you just mentioned sheep at home. Originally started in sheep. Your line of dogs, did they originally come from sheep dogs or cattle dogs, or have you kind of like merged the two? How's your line look?
No, mine are always been sheep dogs, and still what I'm using to this day, because I still do a lot of sheep work. Yeah, they're still really sheep dogs underneath, but they just cross across into cattle so well, and like they I usually say they've got to work all 4. They've got to work sheep in the yards, they've got to work sheep in the paddock, they've got to work cattle, and they've got to work goats. So because if you chase the all-round dog, you'll get a dog in there that's all-round, and we've hit it not too bad, that all-round dog. We've everything we've got here now will work all of that. So I'm pretty happy with what we've got, especially our core breeders. We've got a few outsidees that have come in, and they're still coming on and proving they're worth having here. But yeah, because
what's something outside have to show you to come in, or is it something like that you like particular lines that you like to go out to?
Yeah, look, a strong eye that presents. I do like a strong-eyed dog. So they're a thinking dog, and you can get them to do most things. They'll just step up for you. But that's sort of something I've been really looking for, that thinking sort of eye dog with good grip. Yeah, it's something I've really looked for lately. But that strong presence too. If you like, I went to the Cattle Dog Championships there the other month in St George, and I sat there and watched and really took note of bloodlines there that I was liking, and the bloodlines I liked were very square on the head. So when you asked for a push up or whatever you wanted to push cattle back in, they were very straight, walked straight up and pushed dots backwards, and had good presence about them. So it's sort of a good strong eye, a lot of presence, and a cover and hold. So they're the 3 things you really got to have in a day's work. Because if you can cover and hold something, you'll get it to go where you want it every time.
And you finding like when you were sitting there watching, did you find they all had come from a similar line?
Yeah, I did actually. I actually narrowed it down to two breeders that I was really liking up there, that really had those dogs that they would come straight in on the head when they told them to push up. They wouldn't try and get to the tail to make movement. They would come straight in. So, and they were, David Crawford and the Riverside dogs, Ben Gould, they were standouts for me up there, because they were especially Bengals, they were worked by other people. So I think there was 10 in there, and all worked by different people, a lot of them, and that was really stand out when you have different handlers handling the dog, and they're all the bloodlines are doing the same within his camp, and same with David Crawford. His dogs are doing the same thing, and especially one he had there. I can't remember the name at the moment, but he walked straight up, and the cow wanted to pick a fight. He hit it, and then gave a bit of relief and moved off, and took another position to pull them up and put them all back together. It was really nice. I liked it. Liked it a lot.
Those dogs standing out for you, if you look like deep into their genetics and into the dogs behind yours, do you find similar dogs or similar styles? And that's why they kind of click to you a bit?
No, they're pretty hard. They're one side of my genetic. Yeah, there is, because I've used like Beacon's Reese and Redgate Sam and some of those imported dogs there. But on the other side, no. On the other side, I've actually got they're nearly a forgotten bloodline. They go right back to where the dog I started with, Wongula Mick. So a bloodline I've carried for 30 years now. So that side, my camp's in two different bloodlines. And one side go back to, Wongula Mick, which is Old Mill Craig and Glenromie and Jetta. So their bloodlines I just do not run into anymore, and you don't. And then to make up Hank, Warramurra Hank, we used Mick over Honeyvale Maisie. And that cross the Honeyvale Maisie, the only bloodline I see with that in there, they had a sister were the highlight dogs. So, and that's going back a fair while too. So that side's completely strange, but there's some great dogs in there, and just great work dogs really. And then John Tudman and I got together, and he had a great Hasselblood dog, Rue, and we put that over Hank's sister, and that's a lot of good dogs still floating around me to this day came out of that joining. John Tudman, he won a lot with those dogs. So and he's still running that same line down there, which is it's good to have, but you always got to keep looking forward to what you're going to breed next or where you're going to find your next pup, because they definitely don't last forever.
No, absolutely. If there's something, is there anything, or if there was something that you could put into your line, what would it be in terms of like a
trait?
A trait.
Probably a bit more eye at the moment is one thing I'm looking. That a bit stronger in the eye, bordering on being sticky in the eye. Actually, a lot of dogs I've liked over the years have been sticky in the eye. So that's sort of something I wouldn't mind putting back in a bit more of at the moment.
And why is that?
Oh, they make great drovers when you're out at work. So at the moment, if I'm doing sheep work, a lot of the sheep work is on a bike, and you've got like a 5 to 20k walk for sheep. So you really need that wide, calm thinking dog with a lot of eye that just it's watching, but it's not pushing too hard. Because if you take away the eye, they generally do too much movement and make sheep run too much. But when you have a good strong eye on cattle too, they generally they place really well and find their place really well, I reckon. So
applying enough presence through pressure through presence rather than their feet.
100%. Because when they find it through their feet, a lot of the time they actually follow it up with a lot of bite. And you want your bite to be your last resort to move stock, not the first option.
Actually, that's it. That's probably a good question here. So,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was going to say, like, you mentioned that, and you mentioned low stress stock handling. Like, what's the importance of low stress stock handling to yourself?
To myself, when I'm managing, it's actually all about money, because the minute cows start running, you can just about see the $100 bills flying off their back. because it's just money going out the window. And when I'm contracting, like I am at the moment, that's what I see with contracting too. You're there to do a job to make the most for someone, so you've got to do it the best you can and keep the weight on stock, not flying off their backs. So that's the core of low stress, and make it easy. So because everyone's time poor, so the only way you're going to get time back is being efficient, and if you're efficient, it's usually everything runs smooth. So yeah, you need low stress. So low stress on them, low stress on them.
I love that answer. Sorry, what were you going to say for that?
No, I was just going to ask about bark. Like you mentioned bite a fair bit. Are you for or against bark, or situational?
Yeah, situational. Like I'm on cattle. If they start barking too much on cattle, it's down the road. You're going to get sold because I don't like it at all. But on sheep, on sheep, a controlled bark is really handy. So like at the moment, I've got a young Huntaway, which controlling the noise is a big challenge. But yeah, when he controls it and uses it correctly, really good at moving stock. But if you overbark, I learned a long time ago on a merino stud I was on, and if you overbark and you have to keep bringing those stock through again and again, what you'll find is they'll get a good rugby scrum going in the middle of the yard because they know what's coming. They know you're going to get beat up, so they just put the head down and won't flow. So you got to be controlling. It's like everything. You bite, you got to control, and you bark. So
stay tuned in a few weeks, mate. Got a mate of mine in New Zealand who runs Huntaways. He's going to jump on and have a yarn with us. So I'm going to specifically ask him a lot about his training techniques to control a lot of that as well.
Yep, 100%. I need a bit of help because I look at Huck. That's the dog's name. I look at Huck every now and then and go, oh, geez, you might have to go to someone who knows what they're doing because, we're having a bit of struggle with your bark. We've got your placement going, but you just got to move to a position and not bark the whole way.
Yeah. Well, I went to see this bloke for a couple of hours and ended up spending all day and night at his place. Like, he's just happy to give info off. So hopefully you can grab something from him as well. But what I was going to ask there, like we've spoken about educating cattle, and you've spoken about sheep a lot as well. Like, do you see any equal benefits in educating lambs after weaning as well as cattle?
Yep, absolutely.
It's not something we really talk about a lot, is it?
No.
Look, and it's pretty hard to sell people on that one. To educate sheep because they're only small, you can throw them about. But if you educate sheep, it's so much easier to work them because I used to manage a place in Victoria down at Balmoral, a place called the Risers, and we were part of the Collinsville group at that stage, and we used to get all our first cross ewes used to come down from up at Burra, and they were bred out of big station ewes with a Port Leicester over them, so they're really bouncy sheep. And when you're working them, they'd rattle through yards, but you'd have broken legs, broken necks. It wasn't good for livestock. So I started educating my sheep, and then I soon found that they were like pet lambs. You could open everything up to the draft and walk to the draft and start drafting, and they'd be following you, and you got a young pup sitting way down the back of the bugle, and this pup would be thinking he's an absolute legend of how he's stock, but he hasn't done a thing. But it does pay off, and when you're out and about later on at lambing time, and any time you're moving them, it just makes life so much easier.
Obviously, you are an absolute dog lover. We've spoken about how important dogs are to your livelihood. How would your job look without dogs?
I wouldn't be in it. That's probably it. I probably wouldn't be in it. I'd find something else to do because it would be an absolute nightmare. Like I don't mind riding a motorbike, but without a dog out there, geez, you'd have to ride a motorbike pretty hard to keep up with what you got to do, what a dog does in a day.
Yeah.
Working both, like all types of stock, like how important is identifying natural strength in a pup or dog compared to building it?
Well, what is natural strength
Oh, that's
first?
good as well. Yeah.
Oh, natural strength's that eye that comes out. So when they're 6 weeks old, 8 weeks old, and they're already starting to watch stock and have a lot of focus, that straight away that's going to be a strong dog there through its presence, because it's already throwing out presence to its stock as a pup. So all we're going to do is let it grow out, and it's going to get to 15, 20 kilos instead of 5 kilos, and the presence they can bring is huge. That's a big part of strength in the dog.
Actually, here's something interesting. This is a conversation I've had with a few people recently. Like, when you're looking at that young dog, are you looking for a work dog or a hunter?
Yeah, you're probably looking for a hunter, not just a work dog. You're looking for something with how do you put it?
That natural presence that stock just want to move off, like that predatory instinct, where that dog's just walking straight in, its eyes there, its body language, it's moving forward, it's going like, get out of my way, or I'm going to make you get out of my way.
Yeah, I'm gonna rip your ears off and bite your nose on the way through. Get moving. Some dogs just ooze that out. Like I've had a few dogs that are over the top with it. I had a dog called Marvo, and he was not allowed in the yards because he would jump into a yard and the sheep would pile up and just about die on the other side of the yard and he didn't do anything. He just stood there. And he just brought his presence into the yards, and he was just brilliant. And he was a brilliant paddock dog because you could cast him, and you could have 2,000 sheep in front of him, and he just knew they're all going to come, and he's going to do minimal effort for maximum outcome. And that's what he was brilliant for. He was a brilliant dog for that. But we had to teach him to work a lot wider than other dogs. So he used to 50 to 60 metres off stock. So, he didn't really want to run too far, especially in his older age.
What colour were his eyes?
So he was real dark brown in the eyes. Yep, real dark.
Right.
Yeah, you want them dark in the eyes. I'm not a real fan of light coloured eyed dogs.
Why's that?
Don't know, just it's an old thing about cancer and stuff. I don't like blue-eyed dogs. I've never had a great success with blue-eyed dogs. But, I just like them dark in the eye, dark in the roof of the mouth, a lot of whiskers, you can say. Yeah.
We've got some yellow-eyed dogs here, and I just find stock, like those real, like, the way they look at their stock, they just look like real predatory dogs, and I just find stock just move off them.
Yep.
Compared to my brown-eyed dogs, I find can get heaps closer and even be more work around them more, and they don't upset them as much. And older dogs that look like that compared to younger dogs with lighter eyes.
Yeah. Right.
And I was speaking to someone about that on the weekend, and I put out an 8-year-old dog with brown eyes, and she's all. I put a pup out, 17 months, and he was just right off, and everything just moved off him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I've never really taken note when I've trained a light coloured eyed dog. Just never.
I think Joe Spicer mentioned that too when we spoke to him before. It was like they say eyes are the window to your soul.
Yeah.
All that, yeah.
I can't say I've ever really taken much notice. I'm too busy trying to watch what's going on.
I'm a dog person, so I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at the way they toe.
I don't know. I've had a few dogs. You'd say they just scared stock by the way they walked. I had a dog called Norman, and Norman just had this strut where he'd just walk across the flat and everything just went. Norm's coming. Just run. Just get out of here. And but you're getting into a whole realm of the big powerful dogs. They're just I don't know. They're
There's an aura to them. I think probably not all the eyes. It's like some bloke walks down the road and we'd all look at him and go, oh, we might walk the other way. They just have that presence.
Yeah, 100%. And those dogs are brilliant, I reckon.
I love Norman for a dog. I've never heard a dog called Norman before. That's cool.
We've had some cracker names, like we've we've had a couple of Barbaras. Yeah. Oh, there was a whole heap of them there for a while. We've had a Isabel, which is quite a funny story because my daughter's now called Isabel, so one of my wife's favourite dogs. But
what a great story to tell your friends. Oh, I was named after Mum's favourite dog.
She wasn't Dad's favourite dog, that's for sure. She from the age of 2, she was threatened to be sold at least once a week, but she lived to the age of 14, I think. So yeah, can't have been too bad. Which is pretty funny because everyone knows the progeny that comes out of her because that's where Warramurra Joker comes out of her. So yeah, she was a pretty strong dog.
Is that Lee McCann's?
Yeah,
dog?
Yeah.
Oh, that's that Jack, Walking-Eye Jack, that I've seen up in England. There is our Joker. He's a proper dog. I really like him.
Yeah.
Or so Joker. So you bred Joker?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Christina Corcoran's Jack. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, like he's obviously like a lot of people over in WA know just how versatile he's been for Lee and a good soldier and mate over the years as well.
South Australia.
It was in WA for a little bit though.
No.
Okay, right. Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
South Australia. Yeah. Nah, he's been a pretty good dog. They were pretty strong dogs. Those they're a Warramurra Hankover, Wongoola Isabel. So they're really strong dogs. They were. Yeah, I don't actually have any of them myself anymore, but they were great fun to work and train. So yeah, never a dull moment when you have one in the yards. That's for sure.
And you mentioned how much that eye cover and grip means to you. I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, that those dogs are pretty heady types as well.
Yeah, a lot of them are. Yeah, I have a lot of heavy types, pretty solid. So
yeah, but like heady as in heading types.
Yeah.
Or how important is heading, like natural heading, to you?
Yeah, it's pretty important. Yeah, because I in my younger days I would train any dog to do great things. Like you just train until you got it there. But as life's changed and kids come along and you get older, you really chase natural dogs, and you really chase that dog that goes to the head naturally and grips the head. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be trying to train that.
Cool. All good. We've spoken about training and we spoke about breeding there. What do you enjoy about breeding pups?
Yeah, really seeing your creation come on, and I just love to see the genetics we have that we've carried for so long extend further down the line. And I love seeing other people have success with them too, not just myself. Because, if you can breed a dog that just about anyone can handle and go and take and train, and some people reckon that dog train them, not the other way. That's pretty rewarding, I think. I really enjoy that side of it.
Are you breeding many pups a year or?
Not a lot. Not a lot. We breed usually once a year, and sometimes twice a year. But we just just never really gone past that. Just there was something that was drummed into me when I first got into dogs. You've got to keep one out of every batch of pups you ever have. So, and that's stayed true to this day. Every batch of pups I have, I always start one or two and see where they're at. Because if I don't like them, there's no point in breeding them. So, but
absolutely. And if you've got like a few dogs around and you're only having that limited litters a year, how are you determining which bitch you're going to breed and what dog you're going to put over it?
Oh, lately it's actually been on age. So who's going to run out of time, sort of thing. Because I've got a lot of older bitches that are right on the end of running out, and I've got a good old dog who, he's 10. So hopefully get some pups out of him next year, late this year, probably early next year. But yeah, it's sort of, if I can find the dog to match up. So if you can find the dog that complements the bitch and the bitch that complements the dog, that's the hardest thing to find. So if you can find that, it's really, that tells the tale of what you're going to breed.
And what, in your eyes, what makes a good sire?
Oh, that big presence, powerful dog. That dog that is a dog. It's a big manly dog. It comes in, it pisses on all the shearers' lunch boxes. It's got that strut about it. It's a male dog. It's not crawling around. It's sort of a little bit of a rooster. They're a little bit cocky, but they're not.
That's what it is.
And, I love the big male dogs. I love the big powerful dogs. That a little bit of arrogance about them doesn't hurt.
There's one that a little bit over the top.
Yeah, you do, and that's where you find the good pups come out of them, because when you breed pups, you sort of got to remember that at some stage, half of those pups are going to turn back into their dad. So if you have 6 pups and you got 3 male, 3 female, a lot of the males will take on their dad's traits as they get older. It's not something you see in young pups, but as they get over 2, you start seeing the dad just come out and shine. So you want a big, powerful dog. You want something you like, that's for sure.
What about the same for a bitch?
Bitch, I actually like them a bit the other way. I want a really feminine bitch. So they're really kind and nice, and they have good touch. So what I mean by good touch is when you put your hand out for a pat, they want to have that pat. They want to come under your hand and have a pat. They want to cuddle. I've got one here at the moment, Marnie. She's a shocker. She's a licker, and she's always wanting a pat. She's always touching your hand. If your hand's hanging by your side, she's letting you know she's there for a pat. So and they make great bitches when they're like that, because let's face it, if you can't catch it, you're never going to train it. And pups get a lot of their traits in the first 12 months will be their mother's traits before their father starts coming through. So that's where you can set the groundwork really quick.
Do you find yourself? I 100% agree with all of that. To be honest, I was just
thinking it's pretty true. If you can't catch the bitch, you're not going to catch the pups.
No, that's right.
And she's gone.
And I do see a lot in my pups. I see a lot of the bitch early on, and then they develop, and as they mature into their father or whatever. But do you find yourself breeding particular litters? And like you said, because it's very limited what you do, because you like now a lot of your bitches are older, so you go, oh, I want to breed another bitch. So you start to breed towards bitches like Marnie that you just have this special connection with. Could you go, I want another bitch like that?
Yeah, I do a bit, but then I've got a bitch here, Jill. Now, Jill, I bred Jill, and she went out and she's had 5 different homes, and she came back to me, and I'm pretty happy she came back to me, because I've got her brother here, but she doesn't have great touch anymore because nobody really gave her that good touch, and and she sort of, I think, along the line, she didn't have the best of life along the line. But there's one thing you can't break in Jill, and that's the work ethic she's got. She's got that big heart where she'll work for you all day and never give up. And some days you just want to give up, just come off the head and just let stock go. She's a good one for when you're getting all the dogs to jump back on the bike or in the ute. When you're letting cattle go or sheep go, you turn around and there she is, 10 years old, and she's still down the paddock trying to bring him back. And you're like, come on, Jill. Because that's just Jill. She's just got a big heart. And, we always say Jill does what Jill does. And but she's never in the wrong spot unless you're trying to load the ute. So she's just a beautiful bitch. It doesn't have great touch, but I've actually bred out of her twice since I've had her back, and I've got 2 bitches here out of her, and they're crackers, absolute crackers. So she's got one more batch of pups in her, and then she gets a retirement home with a friend. So she'll probably gain 10 kilos like all of them that go into retirement and get fat and be pretty lazy. But don't know about the lazy.
Those two bitch pups that you kept out of her, what are they like in nature? On the touch?
Yeah, they're beautiful, beautiful. One's really good, and the other one, she's just got a beautiful way about her, but she's always there within sort of that metre of you, but she's not on your foot, and she's not always the first to come when you put your hand out. And that's a bit of the father coming through a little bit too. But yeah, the younger one out of the two, yeah, Goose, she's there with you all the time, and she's got quite a bit of leg too. So because she goes back to a Kiwi dog, and every time you got your hand out of your pocket, she'll let you know you're there. She's there too. So.
I suppose what I wanted to highlight from that was like you mentioned about Jill being through 5 homes. Like everything living is not just a product of its genetics or its DNA; it's also its education, right? That's why I asked that particular question.
Yeah. So yeah, she was she was actually trained as a 3 sheep dog to start her life. So yeah, by the time she was 18 months, she was in top 10 or something in Victoria dogs. She was pretty handy, but I don't know what went wrong along the way. But when I got her, she was very headstrong and wouldn't listen at all. So we went right back to the drawing board and rebroke her, and restarted again.
Yeah.
So which is good because she's been a pretty valuable dog since.
Fresh slate. Do you use any? Sorry,
I missed a bit there.
I said fresh slate, fresh start, clean slate. Right? Yeah. Do you do any AI, mate, or live coverage?
No, I haven't gone down the AI road. There's probably a couple of dogs out there I'll look at and go, probably should be using, but probably not in the situation where I'm at the moment. There's one in particular, but I don't have anything I want to match him to. One of these younger bitches I've got coming through, I'm thinking if it keeps rolling the way it is, when it's about 3 or 4, it'd definitely be match up to the certain dog I'm looking at, is a UK dog.
Have you got any of your own stored, like that old dog you were talking about before?
No, I haven't, and it's sort of one of your regrets you have is you didn't store them. So, but anyway, you do live and learn. So,
yeah, at 10, like that'd be pretty hard going. Doing right, like they reckon, like I tried to store a dog recently at 6, and they're like, "Oh, I probably don't suggest you do that. Pick a son." I'm like, I don't want the son, but they reckon anything after that's a bit of a lottery.
Yeah, it is. It is because there was some of the Glenromian blood was stored years ago, but I tried using that probably 10 years ago, and when they thawed some out, there was nothing there. So they reckon. So anyway, it's how it goes. But pretty happy with what we got anyway. What we're joining to at the moment, and sort of got my size picked out for the next little while. But always on the hunt for what I'm going to use next, what I'm going to bring in, and it's pretty hard. But at the moment, I've been pretty lucky. A friend of mine in Victoria, he's gone and joined all my bloodlines back into itself. So he's got a bitch, and he actually used Joker's brother, a dog called Moses, and he joined them together. So he's 4 generations apart, and he's brought it all back together. So I've got one of those pups here, little buck, and
That's really good.
So pretty good signs coming out there already for Buck. He's what, 7? No, he's 9 weeks old now, and he's already looking at sheep, and he's not going to the head at the moment, but he's definitely having a good look. So pretty happy with that. Pretty happy.
Mate, being around for so long, coming across so many dogs, what advice would you give to someone that wanted to purchase their first dog or pup?
Oh, go and find someone that they've got the mother and the father, and they've got what you want already in their dogs, and they've got to have the same values of what you want in your dog. So we all want a dog with a big heart. So go and find someone that's breeding dogs with big hearts and go that way. For your first dog, it's that's what you need more than anything. You probably don't need a heap of eye or anything like that, even though that'll probably make it a bit easier to handle it being slow mode rather than hyperactive mode all the time. But something with a big heart is, yeah, that's all you want ever.
What's your ideal training setup, mate?
Just a pen with some sheep in there that I can get quiet, and because honestly, I do a fair bit on sheep, but I actually put my sides on dry away from sheep. I learned this way from a Kiwi fella, a bloke by the name of Bernard Renz when he was here in Australia. So yeah, you use a stick, plastic bag, and your lead rope, and you actually ask them to go around, and I do that actually on my front lawn. I do it away from sheep, so you don't take away. And one of my mentors through when I've been in dogs, probably the biggest influence in my dogs was Alan Mabon, and he's an old Scottish man, and he that's how he broke in his dogs, and it's been quite valuable to me and breaking in my dogs and seeing what's underneath too. It's a great way. So training setups, just a square pen preferably to train in for young pups. Just doing just doing a half bubble on the fence and then pulling sheep around, and the sooner you can get out in the middle of a paddock, the better. That's my training setup. So pretty basic, really.
When do you start doing that dry work? Like, do you have an age, or they need to be doing something on sheep first, or?
Yeah, so before we even start to look doing that, we want to be pulling sheep, and we want to have them really confident moving around sheep and doing all the stuff we want to see on sheep. Going to the lead, gripping the lead, just everything you want to see. And generally, you don't start that till they start that next maturity level. So about 8 months, I start doing the dry work.
Yep.
So are you using obstacles with your lead?
When I'm doing my lead, I actually stand and you get your dog to circle around you. So when you ask for a right, you hold your stick and your plastic bag out to your right, and then you move it across with your dog sitting in front of you on a lead rope, and you actually move it across, and the dog moves off the stick coming around the plastic bag, and they'll move to the right. And as you're doing it, if your command's right, you're right, stop. And when you stop, you actually bring your plastic bag back down. And it's the same when you go to the left. You just cross your arm under and you're left, and you bring that plastic bag around. And they just start moving off the bag. And then through repetition and persistence, you'll end up having a dog that'll hear the word right and it will move off to the right. So that's the outline of it. It gets a lot more in depth than that, but yeah, that's the basics of it. And it's been, I learned that way probably 22, 23 years ago. And for me at the time, it was a big game changer because I was always on the road. When I was traveling around working, you didn't really have the yard set up or round yard or anything to go and work in. So you had to come up with other ways to do it.
Yeah. I've never seen that, but I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm gonna think about it a bit more. Actually, I'll pick your brain about some things on that later because I've got another way of the way they teach hunterways to turn as well that I think you might be interested in. We'll have a yarn about that later, anyways, because we'll really get into too much depth.
Yeah, well, the hunterways you're doing it the opposite way to you. Yeah, Anyway, yeah, righto. No, we'll talk about that later.
So you're doing that. You got your dog started on sheep. You're at 8, 9 months. You're starting that dry work. When are you putting them on cattle?
So once I've got a left and right and a stop, main really important one is a stop. So when it's all going pear-shaped, you can just get everything to pull up. So once you got the stock going, you can go away and put them on some quiet weaners. Like that's usually probably 12, 14 months by the time I start introducing them to cattle. So, yeah.
And have you had a crack in a trialling scene, mate?
Trialling scene, yep. Oh, geez. My first trial was when I was 17. My first 3 sheep with Wongoola Mick. It went well in our first one. We actually won our first one, and then got a bit carried away and had one too many dogs, and didn't set them up right, and probably lost the next 30. But anyway, took me a long time going. It actually took a good kick in the butt by Alan Mabon, and he pulled me in the line and got me doing the 3 sheeping a lot better. So it went well there for a while, and then crossed over and started taking the exact same dogs I was using on the 3 sheep ground. I started yard trialling those same dogs as well, and then we had a good run there for a while. We between about 4 dogs I was running at one stage when I was down in Victoria. We didn't miss the finals for a couple of years. So we always had a dog in the final, but not always winning. So, but we were thereabouts. So, I had a little red and tan Kelpie back then called Abby, and she just found ways to find leads and make things happen for you, and did it very calmly. She didn't like conflict, was Abby. But she could beat a sheep up if she had to, and she just found flows. And I think the last time I trialled her, we're at Australian Championships in Lucendale, and I retired her after the championship there, and we come 9th in Australia with her. So so it went all right with my trialling. Something I'm going to get back into at some stage. But
why?
For a little while. Sorry.
Why would you like to get back into trialling?
Just the competition, because I love having white line fever. Because I get a lot of that when I trial. Let's be honest, but it is good to pitch your dogs to see what they're doing against some of the best dogs in Australia. Really, what you're trying to get against. Because I always find your great work dogs always end up making the best trial dogs.
Yeah. What sort of trialing do you reckon you'll jump back into?
Oh, who knows? I might go for the 3. I might just do a bit of yard trialing, a bit of 3 sheep, and go and play with cattle. I've done it before, so just do the lot. Don't be biased.
Someone that's been around dogs for a long time, and you said you started trialing
at 17.
At 17, then haven't done it for a while. Like, you think you get any nerves stepping back in an arena?
Oh, yard trialing? No, not at all. I yard trialed down at Denny. It was the last time I did it, so it was a few years now. But no, yard trialing, no, and probably not cattle trialing, but probably 3 shaping. That would make me more nervous than anything, because the mentors who helped me are still around. So if I get it wrong, I'd get a swift kick in the butt by Alan Mabon and John Tudman. They would give me a good kick in the butt if I got it wrong. So
I think a lot of people feel that way when it's in paddock stuff, because when you're standing at the peg, there's nowhere to hide. It doesn't matter if it's 3 sheeping or utility trialing. Once your dog's left you can't do anything, right? Like, you can help your dog along, but that's it.
But I had a conversation with a few people at Umundri that said the opposite. They couldn't imagine going and getting in the yards to trial. Like, they don't understand why someone would start there, because it's scarier.
A gate's longer than a start per picket.
That's what I thought.
You can hide behind the gate a lot easier.
I got to run all the way over there if something goes wrong, where the yard's only 20 metres.
Oh, look, the walk of shame's a lot further when you're in a 3 sheep arena, because you've probably got 50, 100 metres to walk off with everyone looking at you if your dog runs out and rips your ear off something, or blows them 3 different ways. yard trialing a lot easier because a couple of steps you're out of the arena, you're gone if you made a mess. So, yeah.
Definitely.
Dude, I just drove 6 hours to judge Australia and didn't put a score up with my own dogs in the open. So there's nowhere to hide in that.
No,
And it is right. That's trialing. Like, there's a dog I come fifth with last year and just go, oh, well, I didn't prepare enough. So hopefully next year I'll get my shit together and try harder.
Well, you just got to remember this saying. You got to remember one day a rooster, next day a feather duster. So that is the perfect saying for trialing because that's what it is.
Yeah. Any form of competition.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
One day rooster, next day feather duster. I love that.
Mm.
Mate, do you have any, whether it's trialing or work, is there a special moment that stands out with you and your dogs?
Oh, there's a couple there's a couple. There's one trialing where I reversed a mob of sheep, 3 sheep, all the way around the 3 sheep arena. So yeah, on the pickup, we were in reverse with the sheep, and the sheep just stayed in reverse all the way to the pen. That was pretty special. That was with Isabel. She was pretty strong like that. But one time mustering, handling probably about 8,000 merino ewes one time. Just myself and 3 dogs. It was a pretty special moment up in the Flinders Ranges. So because those hills they look for every way to kill you up there in the Flinders. But beautiful place though. But and then another moment out at work was I used to run a place out at Cunnamulla, which we had about 40,000 goats. Well, that's what we're meant to have, but we mustered 80,000 there at one stage, and probably yarding 7,500 goats with 4 dogs. So that's a pretty special moment. Yeah, it's because that's a lot of goats.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of and hard work and grit and determination from you and your team.
Yeah,
hanging in there.
And the funny part is that they're the dogs I've got here at the moment did that job, and we're talking Warramurra Jill, the one I got back that just never gives up, and her brother Snoopy, Marnie, and actually a young Kiwi dog I got called Wall did that. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You go. Sorry.
No, you're right. Go for it.
I was going to say, any advice to someone wanting to get into the industry?
Oh, which industry? Ag industry or dogs? Or both? Both. Oh.
Just some great life advice.
Great life advice. Have a thick skin and go with what you love. And just go and do it, and don't.
Put this way, like managing properties. Like, what would someone have to show you for you to put them on the books?
Just a good intent to be, just a good intent to work, and because workers are a lot like dogs. I should say, if you say it that way, but anyway, they're a lot like dogs because you have to give them opportunity to make mistakes to learn. So just be willing to go and do it. And you're going to make mistakes, and hopefully you land a good boss who lets you make the mistakes and gives you good leadership and guides you through those things, the mistakes you make, because you don't learn if you don't make a mistake. And just go and do it.
I know you started out a little bit hesitant with the workers like dogs, but that was cracking advice, mate. That was, as someone that has employees, that was cracking advice.
Yeah, look, I've had plenty of people work under me from just 1s and 2s, right out to dozens of people, 20 odd people, and it actually takes a good boss to just let people make mistakes so they learn.
Yeah.
And then nurture them through that, like you mentioned, like help mentor them. I think was the word you used.
Yeah, you're driving the bus from the back seat, and that's a saying I learned years ago, that you just got to learn to drive from the back seat when you're managing, so people can learn themselves, make mistakes. So you're not always having to be there to drive. So you'll get a group of people around you that will drive for you. Yeah. But yeah, young person come to the industry, buy way too many dogs and just have work ethic and have a go and make mistakes because you're going to make them whether you try or not.
Amazing
Beautiful.
advice. Absolutely cracking advice, mate. Is there anyone you'd like us to sit down and have a yarn with on Dog Talk?
Oh, I'd tell you John Tudman. He's in his 80s. He's trained and been around dogs for a long time now, and he's been a stock agent, shearer, and he's a great bloke to talk to. He knows a heap about dogs.
Beautiful.
Cracking, sounds like a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Have to touch base with you after that to try and tee that up for us.
Yeah, righto. Yep.
As always, last question. Would you rather fight one duck the size of a horse or 20 horses the size of ducks, and why?
One duck the size of a horse, or
20 horses the size of ducks.
Oh, it doesn't really worry me. I'll take any fight on, and I'll achieve it. So it doesn't worry me. I'll take it on.
Sounds good.
I love you just remind me of the top bloke that just have it. I got this saying, you can only wee with the doodle you have. That's the PG version, and you remind me of that you just tackle whoever's in front of you. Love that attitude.
And you got to have it. You got to have it. Like you see so much, and if you let all that weight get on top of you, it'll bring you down. So you just got to keep going at it. Yeah, keep training dogs.
Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you tonight. Thank you heaps for your time, mate. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. And to everyone listening back, thank you for your time. And please remember, we learn every day, and the day we stop learning from each other will be a sad one. Thank you.
Thanks.